6 o'clock. I want to call our regular scheduled town board meeting to order. I want to welcome all of y'all tonight. We don't usually get good crowds like this, so it's nice to have a good turnout. And also welcome those that are watching by way of internet, which I've never went back and watched one of those. I don't think I could do that. So we'll move right up here and see what we got like on the calendar. The only thing I see on the calendar is our Tuesday, April 14th, regular scheduled board meeting. Unless you guys know of anything else, that's the only thing I have for the calendar. We move on to public comment. We have one tonight, and the rule on that is the town attorney will keep a 3-minute time frame on that, and so I'll let you call up the first person on that if you would like.
Patrick Ryan.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. I'm Patrick Ryan. I'm this year's president of the Kiwanis Club of Waynesville, and I'm here to support point number 12 on tonight's agenda, which is a request to move $200,000 that was previously designated for something else to use as a matching fund for a PARTIF grant to rebuild the playground that's down in Recreation Park. Kiwanis has been involved in that playground for over 20 years. It's starting to show its age. We have provided some upgrades to it over time, including help financially supporting the All Abilities Playground that's adjacent to it. But the large wooden structure, which a lot of kids, including my granddaughters, refer to as the castle, is still safe, but is rapidly deteriorating. Wood just has a finite lifetime, and we're reaching that point. And so Kiwanis is actively involved right now in replacing the large castle features, the wooden structure that's there. We want it to be an informed decision-making process. We've done a survey. We were out there a couple of weekends ago talking to folks and asking them what they liked currently, what they would like to see, what they don't like. You have a handout that has a word cloud that can be kind of confusing, but these are the words that came up most often in the survey. We had over 100 responses over that 2-day period. And responses that we received were that their kids like the castle. We know that. They like to play hide and seek in it. But the parents aren't as crazy about that because it's not open. They oftentimes will lose their child during the hide and seek process. They've noted the deterioration of the castle as well. They would like to see additional features such as shading, a more modern open playground. We think that that's the solution. It will be a lot lower maintenance if it's a metal structure. It will also incorporate a lot more sensory features for individuals and will be more accessible, even though we still have the All Abilities Playground as well. So we think there's a real need to replace the castle, and we want to upgrade that. And so we have actively, and I will also say that based on the numbers, and this is our numbers, not Parks and Rec, but based on the numbers survey we had just that day and extrapolating from our own experiences around the playground, we think the playground is probably used by 30,000 people a year or more. So it's a good investment in the community. We have started a process, and actually the deadline is this Friday, for vendors to give us design concepts. Certainly not an RFP, that's not for us to do, but just to get some ideas of what we can get from that. And what we've settled on is to have a mountain theme that we think will attract people and be attractive to the town as well. So we're talking about towers. We're talking about maybe blue slides that look like waterfalls, having what's called a pour-in-place surface, which is also present on the All Abilities Playground, but have it as a pathway that, when viewed from the towers, might look like a river. We're just things that will, rock climbing, rope bridges, things that will invoke the mountain area. And then we think that's a marketable thing that we can use to our advantage in town. But actually, and I don't know who owns the rights to this, but we were thinking we would like to have a miniature gateway to the Smokies Arch as the entrance to the new playground as well. We've been pursuing funding for this. We have saved our own resources as a club. We give out grants. We've saved those for 2 years. And so we, combined with a grant that we've gotten from Haywood Healthcare Foundation, we've raised almost $100,000 right now. But that's not enough to get the park that we really want. So we're respectively asking the council to consider that $200,000 could be combined with the monies that we have to do a $250,000 match with Partif, which would put us close to $500,000, which we think really is the realistic number to have a park that we think we'll be proud of. We're pursuing other avenues. We're pursuing $120,000 right now in funding, but there's no guarantees with that. And so the bottom line is, as a club, we cannot do this by ourselves, but we want to partner with the town. We've had such great success with that in the past, and we're asking that you consider that $200,000 towards a Partif match. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for wanting us to what to do. Guys, that deserves a standing ovation. Anyone wants to volunteer with our Fix Our Parks like that, they deserve a standing ovation, guys. Okay, we move on to additions or deletions. Are there any deletions to the agenda you guys know of?
I think we
need
have
to add-
John's garbage cans.
Yep. I'd like to add to the agenda the approval of the $30,000 state grant to fund recycling and waste cans.
Second.
Okay, got a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, got a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Moving right along. Okay, we got a presentation by the ARC of Haywood County. And I'll ask for Julia. She's already there.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Julia.
Good afternoon, Mayor Caldwell and members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm Julia Buckner. I have the privilege of working alongside the ARC of Haywood County. And in a minute, we will read a proclamation for everyone to hear. But sometimes when you see proclamations, you think they're just pieces of paper or they're just symbolic. But this is a public statement about the type of community we have here and the type of community we want to continue having here. I live just down the road, and if you live here in Waynesville, you know pretty quickly what community looks like. You know your neighbors, you see the same people at the grocery store, but you also realize something else. You know who gets included and who doesn't get included. And what I've come to realize is that inclusion is something that we choose personally. And so I'm going to lift up 3 things that the proclamation represents. First, it represents visibility. People with intellectual and developmental disabilities are already a part of Waynesville. They are working and volunteering and worshiping and showing up every day, and proclaiming this month as Disabilities Awareness Month says, we see you. And second, I want to lift up impact. Over the past 50 years, the ARC of Haywood County has served approximately 320 residents in our group homes alone, and we have served thousands more through supported employment, community living, and our community navigator programs. And those aren't just numbers, those are families and lives and futures. And third, I want to focus on responsibility, because inclusion and belonging doesn't happen randomly. It happens when communities and when leaders like all of you make intentional decisions to create space for all of us, for everyone to thrive. And so while I could go long hours about statistics, and Martha will hit the button, but statistics are not the story. The story is the people. And so tonight I'm going to introduce 2 individuals who are going to show us what belonging actually looks like in real life. We are practicing public speaking and practicing being more involved in the public voting areas where decisions are made that affect us. So at this time, Stone.
Hey everyone, my name is Stone, and I live in the Farley Street called the group home of the ARC of Haywood. In the county, I have been regular member of the community for years, along with my extended family. Shop on Main Street. We use the library, and we are protected by brave men and women of Waynesville Emergency Services. I want to thank the town for Waynesville for providing me with the place I call home, somewhere that welcomes me with open arms and allows me to be myself with access to everything I need to being productive and a happy member of the community. The Arc of Haywood, the Arc of the Haywood County makes sure that I have transportation and support, but it's the town of Waynesville that fills my days with meaningful activities, good food, and good people. I will continue to live here and take advantage of my many opportunities. Waynesville offers me a hope to the town administration continues to work for a favor of supporting the citizens to live independently productive lives.
I'm Reagan Noble. I'm Reagan Noble, and I want to thank you for letting me speak with you today. I live in a group home with 5 other people. I cook in the kitchen with the staff. I worship at Pinnacle Church. I love dogs. I love to play Uno at frog level. You should join us at game night, or you could join us at the Sweetheart Gala, where you'll see me dressed up in a fancy dark purple dress and jewelry, dancing to my favorite song, Careless Whisper, and Last Christmas. I love the people in this country. I love my family and friends at Farley and Solitary. And the staff are my role models. I want you to remember I am a member of this community. I have a job just like each of you. I have been working at Burger King in Clyde for 6 years. I also serve on a board just like you do. I am on the board of the Action Club. I serve on the scrapbook committee. And I hope we have to make decisions. We have to make decisions sometimes, just like you do. And I hope you make your decisions for this town, and that you will treat everyone with kindness and respect. Thank you for everything you've done for me and our community. I love our country. And I love my friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna read the proclamation now. Thank you, everybody. A proclamation for Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. Whereas March is nationally recognized as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, first proclaimed in '87 to increase public understanding of the abilities, contributions, and rights of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And whereas for 50 years now, the ARC of Haywood County has served as a cornerstone of advocacy, support, and inclusion for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families in Haywood County. And whereas the ARC of Haywood County was founded in 1976 by local advocates and parents, including Margaret Brown, Juanita Dixon, Linda Gregory, Lois Harden, and J.C. Dusty and Mildred Roberts, who believe that every person deserves dignity, opportunity, and belonging within their community. And whereas over the past 50 years, the ARC of Haywood County has provided residential services, employment support, community integration, and advocacy to hundreds of individuals and families across Haywood County, including serving the approximately 320 residents in its 4 group homes since its founding. And whereas today, the ARC of Haywood County serves approximately 100 extra individuals and their families through the Supported Employment Program, the Community Living Program, and a Community Navigator Program. And whereas the ARC employs 47 local staff members who provide essential support services and strengthen the social and economic fabric of Haywood County, and whereas individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities are valued members of our community whose contributions enrich our workplaces, schools, faith communities, and civic life, and whereas inclusion is not act of charity. It is a reflection of our shared responsibility to ensure that every member of our community has access to housing, employment, friendship, and civic participation, and I will add, the ability to make their own choices. Whereas true awareness must lead to inclusion, opportunity, accessibility, and belonging for all people. Now, therefore, Mayor Gary Caldwell does hereby proclaim March 2026 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in Waynesville and encourages all residents to recognize the contributions of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and to reaffirm our commitment to a community like Waynesville where every person is respected, supported, and included. I don't think you have to take a vote. It's just hereby proclaimed.
I proclaim.
Excellent. We did bring you gifts, and so if you don't like your color, as Mayor Pro Tem Dixon has already realized, you can switch with your friends. And in a second, we will take a quick picture. Y'all, we're going to go up and take a picture, but thank you for getting this right. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Well, then Ron has to.
One, two, three, say inclusion. 1, 2, 3. Inclusion.
I would like to say also before they go, that I also spent 40 years on the board of directors of the ARC myself. I was a father of a special needs daughter that passed away back in 2010. But I learned a lot from being on the ARC board there of things, you know, this Haywood County is lucky to have the ARC here in Haywood County. So thank you, Julia, and tell everybody else hello.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
They get to me to my heart. Okay, we got another presentation here tonight that is really important. Police Chief Adams, if you would.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for this time. It's my honor and pleasure to promote Evan Davis to detective tonight. He's currently a detective. He's going to be the sergeant of criminal investigations. So going forward, he's wears many hats at the police department. He's very passionate about what he does. He's a team leader on our SRT SWAT team. He also works on the federal task force that investigates child sex offenders, predators, help catch those guys. So he does a lot of good work for the town of Waynesville. Phenomenal employee. It's a pleasure working with him. And I'm glad we can promote him tonight. If you want to come forward, Evan, you and your family. He's been here working with us 14 years. So. Also, when we do a promotion, we hand out a police officer's Bible. Has today's date, and I'll hand you the badge. Let your wife pin it on you. Anything you want to say, Evan? His parents are here, and his uncle and some other family members are here as well. So.
Been an honor to work here, so excited about the next 15 years.
Yeah. And we appreciate the council's support, Evan, and all the town employees. It means a lot. It's hard to get through there.
He's got a vest, don't he? Okay.
Step right in, get a picture.
Let's get through the sappy stuff. I'm tired of crying. Really bad. Yeah. Lord.
Okay, we'll give those folks a few minutes there. It's hot in here, isn't it? Anyway, putting some air in here.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah,
We're all sweating.
Yeah.
I'm about
no,
to.
if I'm getting, if I'm hot, you know, it's, yeah.
I'm
It's
wearing-
Jesse know how to stay.
I'm always freezing.
I don't know, I'll go ask them. I'm thinking.
Seems like my band.
Is everybody burning up or is it just me?
I'm warm.
I'm going to see what we can do to maybe pump that air up a little bit.
It's all the way up.
I hardly ever roast these.
Uh-oh. Oh, there he is.
Julia and I usually are cold.
I know you and I freeze to death, and yeah, I'm like, oh no, when Gary and I are getting hot, it's,
It's warm. for
It's
sure.
hot.
Okay. We're moving along to our Main Street Mural Public Art Commission presentation. Max Dally. Is Max, are you going to do that online?
oh, hello.
Max, if you take it away there.
Yes,
Jesse, yeah.
Jesse says yes.
Yeah. he- yeah.
Just like to ask for y'all to approve it so we can start paying it.
Okay, I think it's beautiful. I had the privilege of Kansas showing me this, a little bit of sneak preview. I was sold before you got here. So what we needed, guys, is to make a motion here to approve this final design tonight. So if I could get a motion, I would appreciate it.
So moved.
Got a motion by Julia, second by Chuck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay, Max, you ready to go to work? We look forward to seeing you. Thank you, sir.
If the community would like to help paint the mural, they'll be doing a community paint day on, I believe, April 18th. That's the same day as Appalachian Heritage Festival. We'll be doing community paint day between 10 o'clock in the morning and noon. So if you would like to come, you can, work close to your operation.
Are there any women in those postcards on those pictures?
Oh, yeah. On the
Because I couldn't see.
photo, I
Too
believe.
small.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone else have any other questions? Okay, thank you so much, Max. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kansas, too. All right, we'll move on to item 6. Weathers. Stormwater master plan.
Okay, good evening, Olga Gruman, Assistant Development Services Director. Today, we do have a presentation by Withers Ravenel Engineers on the update on the Stormwater Master Plan. I would like to give a background again for the larger audience before I turn it over to Withers' team. On March 23rd, 2023, the town of Waynesville was awarded $400,000 stormwater planning grant funded by the American Rescue Plan Act and administered by the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality. The planning grant will update the existing 2008 Stormwater Master Plan and create a new comprehensive Stormwater Master Plan. The updated plan includes the asset inventory and assessment, a broad study to identify stormwater improvements on town's properties, an evaluation of the areas where the sewer system is infiltrating the stormwater system, and other long-term planning initiatives. It will also identify potential capital improvement projects and offer specific recommendations. Specifically, today we have a final draft to present to you, and Withers' team will go over the 6 projects identified for improvement. And this plan will become a package of projects, if you will, that the public services can just take one by one and either budget for as a part of CIP or go after funding sources. The plan was started in the fall of 2023, and it is reimbursement-based. There is no matching fund from the town of Waynesville. Upon receiving the grant, the town staff advertised requests for qualifications, and we have selected Withers Ravenel, who been helping us to implement this plan. The grant requires that updates are presented to the town council on project progress. The first update was presented to the council on February 11th, 2025. As the part of the ongoing work, a draft version of the Stormwater Master Plan was completed and emailed to the Town Council on February 25th this year. If you didn't have a chance, you have a link in the cover page of this document that you can type and you can look. It's several hundred page document. So today we're presenting you the final draft. The next step is this draft with your feedback will be going to the state for feedback and approval. And after that, the final plan will be presented to the council as well. The grant is scheduled to close out at the end of 2026. With that, I would like to turn it over to Alicia Goldstein, our project manager with Withers Ravenel.
Thank you, Olga, for that introduction, and thank you to the mayor and the council members for allowing me to speak tonight. I brought a presentation to quickly go through where we are with the plan, and we'll be able to answer some questions at the end. So I assisted on the project management side of this plan, which was a 3-year effort. I'm going to go through some of the project components, review the 6 concept designs in a high level, talk through the capital improvement plan, and then touch base on a high level review we did of the ordinance in advance of a lot of the future growth that the planning department anticipates. So this plan is intended to help guide future planning efforts over the next 10 to 15 years. There's a lot of costs associated with these big capital improvement plans, from $500,000 to $4 million for each individual project. They're focused on specific project areas where there's flood risk to private property or roadway inundation. We also helped provide stormwater asset inventory for a limited portion of the town, and those areas have been provided to the town in a GIS database to help with ongoing maintenance and other responsibilities. So the first thing I would say is that there's been many components. I think you've heard some about them last year, so I'm going to quickly touch base on all the different steps that were involved. We did a town facilities investigation at the beginning to help identify areas of concerns they had were failures and provide some quality recommendations. We had 2 public meetings throughout the project to gather input from residents as to where there would be flooding concerns, where we should focus our attention. We settled on 3 neighborhoods: Frog Level, Hazelwood, and Shelton Branch, and then went in with our survey team and collected asset attributes such as pipe diameter, material, invert elevations to help with the modeling effort. And from that, we can identify where there's capacity issues. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today, is that evolution of where this project has come. So one of the things, once we did all this work and we were moving forward, obviously Helene happened in the middle of this, and there was a lot of conversation about what we should be designing for. What are those standards for those concept designs? So in your town ordinance, we have some level of service standards already. We worked with the town on identifying, which we'll talk also at the end, but that for closed pipes, we should be designing for the 10-year. Currently, you guys have a 2-year standard, but all of our concept designs are going to be for the 10-year. And then for culverts that convey perennial streams, where there's a road where there needs to be accessibility, the design standard is the 50-year. So we ran our models with various rain events. And then additionally, we decided with the town staff input to use the NC State raindrop tool. This is a tool that the North Carolina Department of Transportation has put money forth, and they're implementing themselves in all of their designs. It takes future scenarios of greenhouse gas emissions and looking at mitigation. There's like 8 scenarios. We chose the most conservative one. You can see on this slide the differences between the standard rainfall and the adjusted rainfall based on projected future scenarios. It's slightly different by a couple tenths of an inch bigger, but it's something to think about when you're building these projects and you're spending the money. We're putting in infrastructure that should last 75 to 100 years. You don't want to have to go out and dig it up or replace it. You want something that's going to be resilient and handle future growth and perform as intended. So tonight I'm going to talk about our concept designs. High level, they were spread out through all 3 of the project site areas. The first project is at the Public Works Building on Legion Drive. Some of the key things with this project is this is a essential facility for your town. It's an emergency operations center. There's some ponding going on at the rear of the facility during the 10-year storm event. This site in particular, we wanted to raise up to the 25-year because it is a higher threshold because of your vehicles that are parked there, and they need to be able to access in and out. There's also sometimes during small events, roadway flooding on Legion Drive, and we wanted to realign all the infrastructure into the right of way. Right now, there's infrastructure behind the private homes off of Town and Country Drive. So that is the primary purpose of this project. Next up is the Broad Street Culvert. This was noted in a lot of our public engagement. We had several citizens in our survey that identified this crossing as something that was inaccessible to cross during a lot of events. So we took that and that input, and with some of the projects, we looked at it. There is some topographic restrictions on the site that doesn't meet the 50-year as we intended without changing a lot of the other roadway crests. So that would be something to explore, but it does convey the 10-year, and it improves the situation that right now during small intense storms, it can overtop and be inaccessible. The next project is on Hazelwood Avenue. This project has a bunch of older pipes that are metal and clay that are reaching their lifespan. It also is not meeting that 10-year goal. So we upsized all of these pipes and new inlets, and it's going from Morgan Street to Farmers Branch. The next project is just south of Hazelwood. It's a combination of some work on Main Street. There's already been some work on Kentucky Avenue that improvements have been made. We want to continue that improvement all the way down to Farmers Branch and replace all those pipes. This last project is really important, actually second to last, because there is a pipe that's going underneath private homes. Public Works has done some inspections of their own and shown that parts of those pipes are collapsing. And so this is important so that, there is a sinkhole on one of the residents' properties, but making sure that we move that pipe out of people's private yards and into that right of way. And moving into the right of way also helps with maintenance. Anytime you can put something in the right of way, it makes it a lot easier to go through and clean inlets and do any sort of access without having to bother or interfere with private property. And the last one I'm just going to touch base on is in Frog Level. Obviously, a lot of sites down there were heavily impacted. They are in the regulatory FEMA floodplain, as you can see. So we looked at this area, and there is a lot of improvements that could be made because there's negative slopes. There's clay pipes that transition from big to small to big, and it's causing restriction of flow. So this is another project that we targeted and have designs for. So for all these 6 projects that I briefly touched base on, we have provided to the town diagrams that show pipe size. They're in Appendix A of the report you received, that they're fact sheets. And why this is important, and we'll talk about this, I'm going to repeat this over and over, but it helps provide documentation with an engineer's opinion of probable costs to apply for grants and shows you the expectation of what the funding is needed. And we've talked this a lot with both planning and public works because of these are things that should be done proactively before another storm event were to come. A lot of these pipes are focusing on pipe capacity. We did look at green infrastructure and other solutions. It's very hard with limited land access. So that was a main priority, is increasing pipe capacity, replacing aging infrastructure. 2 or 3 of these sites have clay pipes. Clay pipes are usually put in about 100 years ago. They are durable, but they are going to reach their lifespan and need to be replaced. And then, as I mentioned, realigning pipes and infrastructure into the right of way. These all help reduce flood risk in your community. It protects your public facilities and improves maintenance access. So all of this was tied together into a capital improvement plan that is also in the report. All the 6 plans, we prioritized them with town staff input, figured out what order they should be implemented over a 10 to 15-year period, spread out the costs. We also worked alongside your stormwater team and your MS4 program. So because you guys are a regulated community, you have certain requirements for maintaining all of that stormwater in the right of way. And it's an unfunded mandate. There's no money delegated to you to do all this. And that requires ongoing drainage maintenance. And I know that working with town staff, there's a need for a stormwater drainage crew and some equipment to better respond to citizens' inquiries and do that regular upkeep. So it's something we put in the report for you to think about, and as you go through budget cycles, and that is an extra concern besides the capital improvement, that is an annual expense. And the last thing I want to talk through tonight is, as part of this plan, is an ordinance review. because there is future growth that we're been hearing about with the wastewater plant improvements and concerns about downstream flooding, I did a cursory review for the staff on some key areas that they could go back and improve on in future ordinance revisions. So one of them is clarifying downstream impact assessment. It's already in your ordinance, but there's no determination of what is required of that. So that is something that could be expanded upon. Changing that design storm standards. Right now it's 2-year, going to the 10-year. Looking at increasing protection and riparian buffers for specific style of development is something that could be done in order to improve the tolerance and provide better stream width for that capacity. And then also looking at your floodplain. There's a lot of options. There's nothing set in stone. Everything is optional and to be discussed and decided upon with the town's input and the council's jurisdiction. So as Olga mentioned, this report after tonight is going to be sent to the state. It's one of our final steps before we can get all the full reimbursement. They will approve it. It will come back for your consent. And then it's off to figure out how to fund everything, which is always the fun challenge. That is my entire presentation tonight. If you have any questions, I'm more than willing to.
Betsy, do you have a
I
question?
do have one question.
Yeah.
It might be for staff. Could we change the name of it from master plan to like comprehensive or strategic plan? Or is there a requirement that it be called master plan?
There's a requirement, I think we can change those.
I-
Yes. Do you have an agreement of what your title you want it to be?
Yep,
I say comprehensive or,
you're the DOT man.
okay, comprehensive is what most communities
Okay.
use.
I'll change it to stormwater comprehensive plan or
What was that?
or
Chuck?
comprehensive
Yeah.
stormwater.
It's
Don't listen
just
to us.
words. It's
I
words.
like comprehensive. I'm good with that.
No, not it's comprehensive
Comprehensive
stormwater plan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. John, you have a question? No, sir. Julie?
No, sir.
Chuck?
What kind of grants are there out there?
So right now, with Hurricane Helene, there's a bunch of planning grants going on for hazard mitigation. So there's that. There's FEMA grants. There's grants for DEQ that have their own mitigation funding. You guys are in the area of, the Western North Carolina. They just closed the cycle. Those are opening up every 3 or 4 months. There's some additional grants that I sent about Golden Leaf that if you have a project that's along and going to an industrial site, you can get money for infrastructure improvements. So I've shared some of these and plan to share them more with Olga as they arise. The cycles come up and then you have 3 or 4 months to have a deadline to show letter of interest. And you have to show proof of documentation. And so that was what this plan provided for you, was proof of concept with a cost to go after.
So we're ready to apply for it.
Yes, you're now ready to apply now that you have this plan in place.
And the other thing I wondered about is you had a little bit of frost level, but that was a major area of flooding during the hurricane. Did we not look at everything or did not?
So we looked at several sites that we did not figure out designs for, to be honest. There was a lot of issues that if we improve somewhere, the water has to go somewhere, and then it could make situations exacerbate downstream. So there is definitely a lot of challenges there. A lot of that area is in the floodplain already. Water has to go somewhere. We talked about long-term plans of what you could do to restore that floodplain, and buyouts are doing different things. It's really challenging to go through that. Water has to go somewhere. So we were talking long-term about doing underground storage. Those are very costly.
Pumps are very expensive as well and have to be maintained.
Right. So we discussed all of these options with the town, settled on projects that we thought were doable and were the top priority that could be implemented right now without being out of budget and out of scope. We also had conversations, and there is a grant out right now for a flood warning system that even if it doesn't improve the flooding, at least it could be at different places around town to alert people when there could be a storm coming. And so that is, we talked through and provided other options for them that may not address everything, but flood proofing, we provided information about that could be shared with business owners to help prevent maybe not a Hurricane Helene style event, but smaller level storms.
And finally, I'm sorry, one question for development services. Will the planning board be taking up some of these proposed ordinances?
We will be looking at that, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for your time tonight.
Okay, we'll move on to item 7, a presentation on electrification of the town fleet. William Height.
Good evening. Okay. Good evening. I'm William Height with the Environmental Sustainability Board for the town of Waynesville. It's been maybe 6 weeks or so since I was here doing some education on electric vehicles. And we'd now like to present to you a fleet electrification policy and answer some of the questions that you had at the last meeting. So, let's see. First thing is total cost of ownership for electric vehicles. There are 3 factors that determine the total cost of ownership. One is, of course, the vehicle purchase price. The second is the cost of fuel, however you define it. And the third is the cost of maintenance. That is, repairs that are made to a vehicle that are expected and unexpected throughout the life of the asset. We asked the motor pool for the town of Waynesville to come up with 3 vehicles. And we didn't want to overburden them with work. So we just said, we set a few criteria. We said we'd like to see a sedan, like to see an SUV, and we'd like to see a truck. We didn't cherry pick any of the vehicles. It was their choice. We did request that there be no brand new vehicles because brand new vehicles require very little, if any, maintenance until they are further into life. The vehicles that were selected by the motor pool included, and I thought this was interesting, a SUV, a Toyota RAV4 hybrid, which the town purchased not all that long ago, a Dodge Charger, and a Ford F-150. In determining maintenance, historical maintenance, and cost of maintenance for these vehicles, I sort of screenshotted an email, which is fine. I just want to kind of read a little bit of it. I'll put my glasses on to do that. But this was from Chris Bybee and Sabrina Love, describing the conditions of some of the vehicles and how they've been maintained throughout the history. I've selected vehicles 805, 612, and 307 for review. These represent a light-duty truck, an F-150, an SUV, and a sedan of varying ages. And they also demonstrate the usage of hybrid vehicle within the fleet. I can say with certainty that prior to my arrival, the labor rates shown within Public Works reports were not accurate, as the pay rate was drastically off. This has been corrected within the last month. Additionally, proper records were not always maintained. I have identified several work orders across various vehicles and equipment where parts and labor were not added for completed repairs. This includes truck 805, the Ford F-150, for which I know has had 2 transmissions replaced, each totaling roughly $4,000. Please feel free to reach out. So the challenge for the ESB is trying to understand what the historical costs of the vehicles are, as we don't have really great data. So, but I understand that it's now being taken care of, and that the costs are being assigned to the correct department, the labor units, et cetera. Not really a concern of the ESB, but since you asked about operations costs for ICE vehicles. Where we do have some really great data from the fleet pool is with respect to miles per gallon. So we got all the fleet data for a year for each of these vehicles, and we're able to determine how many gallons went in the vehicles, how much did the gallons cost, and how many miles did the vehicle drive in a year. And so we'll start with the Toyota RAV4 hybrid. You can see to the right here from fueleconomy.gov, the EPA estimated combined fuel economy for the Toyota RAV4 hybrid. And I chose year 2024, but it doesn't matter. It's the same across multiple years. The combined fuel economy is 39 miles per gallon. Now, the sort of all the numbers that you can't see over to the right is a screenshot of the Excel sheet that I got that I was able to come through and get all the numbers for odometer and the miles per gallon, and the gallons filled up so that we could determine miles per gallon over the course of the year. In 2025, the RAV4 hybrid only averaged 32 miles in town operations. So it had an EPA combined cycle of 39 miles, but it was only getting 32 miles even in the hybrid. Things get worse when looking at the Dodge Charger sedan. In 2025, the Dodge Charger averaged 13 miles a gallon. It's supposed to get a combined cycle 20 miles per gallon. And the Ford F-150, in the year 2025, that vehicle averaged 9 miles a gallon, whereas if it's a V8, and I don't know if it's a V6 or a V8, but gave the benefit of the doubt that it would use more fuel, was supposed to get a combined cycle of 14 miles per gallon. Now, it could be that this particular vehicle also towed some, and I don't know what extent that happened, but the vehicle's pretty old, so I'm doubtful it would be used as a first resort for towing. So all of these vehicles have underperformed their EPA miles per gallon estimates. Why is that? Idling. Idling is, in internal combustion engine vehicles, is hugely costly and inefficient. 70% of fuel is wasted as heat in idling, leading to higher operating costs, more downtime, and greater exposure to fuel price volatility. Idling can occur for any number of reasons, all of which you cannot mine. One could be habit. You just get out of the car and leave it running. The other could be waiting on other parties to arrive if there's a meeting. The other could be phone calls in the meeting where you treat the car as an office. Therefore, you want it conditioned with AC and heat. And then it could come down to something as simple as charging one's phone. Key idling speed details. The optimal range for vehicles once they're hot is 600 to 1,000 RPMs a minute, depending on the make and model of the vehicle. For a cold start on a cold day, the computers in the car ramp it up so that it idles faster. Point being, if you just idle for 20 minutes a day at 1,000 RPMs, that's 20,000 revolutions per minute. That's 20,000 little fires on a very hot engine, and that's how you get 9 miles, 13 miles, and 32 miles a gallon. So that's some of it. So in other words, we don't know really about the operating cost from a maintenance perspective for the ICE vehicles that are currently in the town fleet. But what we do know is that when you look at the EPA cycle for all of these vehicles, they actually underperform, and that's because of idling. I want to talk a little bit in talks with community groups. Sometimes I talk parenthetically about geopolitics, because at any point in time we talk about, well, what if there's saber rattling in the Middle East? Or what if there's outright war? What happens to the price of fuel? We all know that it shoots up like a rocket. It sort of comes down like a feather. Well, geopolitics is at play currently with our war in Iran. An increase in the price of oil anywhere increases the cost of oil everywhere, because oil is a commodity. It does not matter that the U.S. mostly relies on Brent crude and that most of what's going through the Strait of Hormuz is going to Asia. It's a commodity and on the world market, and so we are paying more. So we've had, and I looked this up historically, we've had about 3 oil shocks since just 2021, the last 5 years. The first was the Colonial Pipeline, which you might remember, ransomware attack, and especially in the Southeast, the gas was hard to get. The price went up, and in many cases, some fuel depots ran out of gas for a little bit until that was resolved. In 2022, there was the Russian invasion of Ukraine that caused oil or gas locally in North Carolina to spike to the highest levels we've ever seen, which is $5.02 a gallon for gasoline, $5.82 for diesel. And currently, in a war with Iran, the price ceiling is not yet known. What is known is it's gone up every single day. So the impact of the Iran war on municipal fleets, like the town of Waynesville, is that the price of fuel has gone up, can go up 80 cents to $1, which raises fuel cost in the short term. Diesel's been hit the hardest. It's up about $1.70. Which is a huge hit from what it was, and I have some data for that in a minute. Price volatility also complicates budgeting and fuel contracts when you already have all of these unknowns. Higher costs for contracted services, potentially. May delay vehicle replacement, reduce fleet use because of the increased cost of fuel. And some of the highlights that EVs offer as an alternative is the more stable energy cost. The town pays 8.1 cents per kilowatt hour levelized cost of energy, and that is a known for some period of time that oil shocks throughout the world can't really affect. And then long-term operating expenses for EVs. According to AAA, these are prices from today. You can see Haywood County is in kind of Duke blue, I like to call it. And Haywood County is actually an area where the fuel costs are a little less. The areas where they're reddest are the most hard hit, and that's also areas where you have the most I-40 corridor. So it's a sort of portends what the future may hold. The current price today is just under $4 a gallon nationally, and it's a little above $3.75 a gallon in the state of North Carolina. Plus, let me also say that I know that the town does not get its gas and diesel from next door. It gets it from its own depot down there. The town pays less for that. However, if the price moves up similarly as a percentage, it's actually worse for the town of Waynesville because it's paying a lower price. So if you add 80 cents or $1 to the cost of fuel, it could be a percent. These are also from AAA, the North Carolina average gas prices today, $3.76 and change. Diesel, $5.43. 1 month ago, the price of gasoline was $2. So you can see substantial changes. Total cost, TCO, total cost of ownership example. This is not unlike what we did a little bit last time, but there's some assumptions built in here, and I have not baked in an assumption that the price of fuel is always going to be $3.75 or $4 or whatever it becomes, but more like $2.50. That the EV rate currently, because we don't know what the future holds, is 8.1 cents per kilowatt hour, and that this similar vehicle across class and price are looked at. So the two vehicles here, one is the gas-powered Chevy Equinox, the other is the Chevy Equinox EV, which we looked at last time. The chart over to the right, which is a little more difficult to see, is the cost of gas or fuel over a 10-year period. And so you can see what the total cost is. And those are actual, the purchase price or actual available purchase prices as of yesterday. So the EV is only $1,000 more, but look how much less it costs to operate in fuel alone. Policy overview, so this is more like the policy part of it. You all got sort of a policy in your prospective materials for this meeting. This is just a condensation of that. Municipal electric town fleet policy, transition to municipal electric fleet to electric vehicles, which aligns with the 2050 goal of net zero emissions, which reduces cost, emissions, and improves air quality in our local community. Establish clear procurement and operation standards. Scope and applicability applies to all town-owned, leased, or operated vehicles, includes all departments except full exemption for police and fire currently. Police and fire are encouraged to adopt idle reduction technologies as are prevalent in the marketplace, hybrid and plug-in hybrid vehicles, and EV pilot opportunities as they arise. The goals of the program more largely, 100% light-duty fleet electrification by the year 2045, which would get us 5 years there before 2050. 50% emissions reduction by 2035, and gradual transition as the marketplace transitions to medium and heavy-duty vehicles. Expand charging infrastructure to support fleet needs, which is pretty easily done. Procurement policy, battery electric vehicles, or BEVs, required as default for all new vehicles. Non-EV purchases require written justification, proof no viable battery electric vehicles exist, and town manager approval or his representative. Total cost of ownership required includes purchase price, fuel, electricity, and maintenance. Actively pursue grants and incentives, and that would likely be true for more medium and heavy-duty vehicles. Implementation and accountability. Install and expand EV charging infrastructure on town-owned properties. Track fleet performance, fuel use, and emissions. Train staff on EV operation and efficiency. Annual reporting on progress toward goals. Periodic policy updates based on technology and needs. Summary. So EVs offer, as I spoke to last time, many benefits to the town. Lower purchase price, what's known as a green discount, which just doesn't exist for anything else. Lower cost of maintenance, lower fuel costs, zero tailpipe emissions. A new one, mitigate the risk of oil price shocks. And it also signals to the community a desire to safeguard air quality, decrease pollution from town and equipment, and showcase fiscal responsibility by committing to near-term and long-term savings. Any questions?
Chuck, you have any questions?
Town staff had a few questions.
Yes.
They wanted to know if hybrid vehicles would be included in this policy,
I would
or why not?
advocate no. Hybrids are gas-powered vehicles. A hybrid has, so an internal combustion engine vehicle, simply put, might have 2,000 parts. An electric vehicle has 200 parts. You put a hybrid together, you have 2,200 parts. It's just more opportunities for things to go wrong. The Toyota Prius is now technically an antique. It's over 25 years, and the technology from Toyota and Hyundai and Kia has not changed appreciably when looking at hybrid vehicles. They might get a little further miles per gallon, but as you can see from the RAV4 hybrid, in terms of emissions and fuel savings, you're not getting what you think you might get. Battery electric vehicles, an Equinox EV would get close to 120 miles per gallon equivalent. So if you were to spend it on 1 gallon of gasoline, you would get that far by using electricity. So yeah, I don't see a place really in any department other than fire or police for the introduction of hybrids.
And then what about the charging infrastructure? What's required for that, or what kind of transition does that take?
Yeah. Each building needs to be looked at for opportunities. We've already sort of sussed out what the opportunities are at the finance building. There are flood risk as well. As I mentioned last time, I think with the usage case for most vehicles, you're probably looking at a scenario where a vehicle charges maybe once a week. You can always have a charger that's off to the side that's for rapid use. So you have to have this because you went out of town to a meeting or a conference or something. The vehicle could fill up overnight. But you're probably looking at a 5 to 6 to 1 ratio per charger. So, I don't know how fast the town adds vehicles, but I'm sure it's not adding 10 vehicles a month or 20 vehicles a month. Charging is just not really an issue. And the cost of charging is pretty low, right? If the town of Waynesville introduces charging in its district, in its utility district, then it only pays 8.1 cents per kilowatt hour of levelized cost of energy. If, however, it does it in a Duke area like the finance building, then there are charger prep credits from Duke Energy, which are not insignificant. They take care of all the utility scale work all the way up to the meter, and then they sprinkle some money on top of that to make it happen too. So in both cases, it's advantageous and simply done.
And there's some concern about range anxiety. Would there be enough charge in the car to keep it going?
Well, for anyone that's driven the Volt, which is a plug-in hybrid Chevy that the town owns, I understand it gets 40-mile all-electric range, flips over to hybrid. For anyone who's driven the Leaf, which Julie Grasty used to drive, I'm not sure who drives it now, it might get 60 or 70 miles. Modern electric vehicles, 320 miles. 300 is just kind of the standard for newer vehicles. So, I just can't imagine many ways that, someone's traveling so far and they come back and they don't have what they need. Even in overnight, if staff were to take their vehicles home, and let's say the commute's 50 miles and then 50 miles back, that's 100 miles off 320. You still have 220. You plug in for 2 hours in the morning, you've got 80 miles of range. It's just kind of, it can be a factor if you never plug it in, but it's really, that's where the training comes in, to train staff on how to use the vehicles, to what degree to charge them, and what to look out for.
Do you have anything?
I don't have any questions, no.
John?
Could you pull back up the presentation and go back to your slide that compared the cost of an ICE vehicle with a, okay, so explain your chart to me. So at purchase, we're gonna pay $1,000 more for an EV as opposed to a comparable ICE engine. And then what happens?
Well, then on year 0, you start saving money. You start saving money by year 1. You've saved money by year 1 because you're using electricity instead of gas. So here I put in the prices, as I've said here over to the left. And at year 1, the gas car has cost $24,000 and the EV has cost $23,850. So you've already saved money at year 1.
And the year 1 cost so essentially it cost us $2,000 in that first year for the ICE vehicle, and that's fuel and maintenance and all that?
No, sir, that's just fuel.
Okay,
The maintenance is not included because I have no way to include it.
I got you.
It's just known that the cost of maintenance on an EV is a fraction of what it is for internal combustion engine.
Sure.
With oil changes, belts, water pumps, everything that can go on, and there's data. It's like a 5 to 2. It's a 5 to 2. So in other words, if you meet that from the fuel and from the purchase price, then the cost of the maintenance stuff is not uppermost when calculating whether to make a purchase.
So essentially what you're saying is that running this scenario out for 10 years, and we would spend $42,000 total to run the ICE vehicle, but 31,650 for the EV. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, so
That's to
we're
buy it and run it.
yeah, so we're effectively saving about 10 grand.
Which is conservative, right? Because that's just fuel.
Sure.
That's not oil change.
Sure. So essentially that understates the actual cost, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's the first year you save $150 for fuel is what that's saying, because it's $24,000 for the gas. The EV is $23,850. So you're spending $850 the first year for gas compared to $2,000. I mean, you're spending $2,000 for gas, $850 for electricity.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So in that scenario, you're not breaking even the first year. You're starting to save money on gas,
Yeah.
but you're not breaking even.
Well, it's the total cost of ownership for those two categories. Yes, you would make 150. Yeah, you would make $150 first year, considering the cost of the vehicle. But in terms of fuel, you're absolutely right. It's not close.
So it was just the 3 vehicles that you analyzed. Did you were able to determine, I would love to dig into your spreadsheet. So if we could get a copy of that, that would be really interesting. But did you, to get to Chuck's point about range fear, did you analyze the number of miles that those vehicles actually operate on a day-to-day basis?
You're looking at, well, on a yearly basis, 10,000 miles a year. Because we don't know when they fill. We just know when they fill up what the odometer shows. And that's sometimes every 4 days, it's every 7 days. There's of course an average, but the average you're looking at, like for the truck, for instance, 10,000 miles. I think the Dodge Charger is 10,000 miles a year. It's hard for many vehicles in the community to sort of get over that 200 miles a week, but that's
So-
a small sample size.
So if we did, you said the F-150 was about 10,000 miles, and we're talking about 200 work days a year. So can we, I mean, here's where I'm going with this. Number one, if we're driving 10,000 miles a year, and the range on these things is 300 plus, I mean, to me, it seems pretty obvious that range, we're not going to find a situation where they're running out of charge, right?
That's right. If you lived in Charlotte and this was a Charlotte fleet vehicle, you would just have to charge a little more often. You still wouldn't have range anxiety.
Yeah.
But that's taking the Beltway all the way around 485 in Charlotte. Here, the town's 3 miles wide, even with errands and meetings. Okay.
One more question, William. The price on those EVs is a little surprising. The gas car, 22,000, the EV, 23,000. Could you explain that?
For this,
You got some figures or something?
yeah, no, I looked them up online and I looked up multiple places and I said, where can I find a vehicle? And you could find an Equinox base model for $22,000. You could find an Equinox EV for $23,000. This wasn't a one-off. I could replicate this across at least 10 possible purchases within 750 miles of Waynesville. So in other words, not necessarily a need to shop locally, right? Unless the price point is advantageous. Not necessarily a need to make the vehicle white unless it's the cheapest vehicle. Sometimes you might find other colors that, for whatever reasons, less expensive.
And the cost of charging, not the electric cost, but the charge of installing chargers.
But it varies. A Tesla wall charger, which is well reputed, $600 with tax, $640 with install, turnkey, maybe $1,500 to $2,000. If they're daisy chained along a wall where you have more economies of scale for an installer, it might be as cheap as $1,500. And then, like I said, there are some advantages in the Duke territory, and then there's the inherent advantage of being in town of Waynesville Utility District. And that charger, so think about the charger too, that $1,500 to $2,000, whatever it might be, is really split among 5 vehicles because it's not dedicated one-to-one. So for each vehicle might only incur an upfront cost of $300 relative to a charger.
Okay, I'm gonna step out on this one. So, I own a EV vehicle. I'm a big proponent of electric vehicles, but I have questions. Like, how often do we replace our vehicles? Are we going to replace, how many vehicles are we going to replace in the next year, the next 2 years, next 3 years? What is the average range that we need to have for each vehicle? We need to get buy-in from the staff before we mandate something on them. So that's where I'm reluctant. We need to do a lot of education. I'm a big proponent of electric vehicles. Just want to say that. But I need more data before we push something on our staff, mandating to have them jump through hoops to get out of a mandate before we implement it.
Sure, I agree. And they have more questions I think they'd like to get answered.
and I-
And also what you're talking about, because we don't have any sort of management program for our vehicles, which it would be a good idea. How would you-
There's fleet. Do we have fleet software that will tell you how many miles are driven each day on each car?
We don't
have the daily.
have telematics, do we, Rob?
No, the only thing we've got is when you fill up.
So
you enter
there's
your
services out there
odometer.
for network fleets that are like $5 a month, right?
Yeah,
That
we
you-
don't have.
That
type
we
of-
could put on some vehicles and
Sure.
actually get some actual data. I love the data you present, but I want hard fact data by department of average range that they drive a day. And it will also tell you how long it idles. The company I work for uses software that does that.
That'd be
So-
a great thing.
And that would be a very easy way to get some buy-in, right? And I don't want to push anything off on our staff without them buying in or giving them options. I don't want to say you have to do this whenever, especially if the police department knows what's the best car out there.
This is not for police or fire.
Okay, but
So which
Right.
helps. How do you propose that we proceed? Who needs to get together and talk and start and work on this a little further? Because this is not something that's
It's-
urgent that we have to adopt
No.
right now. And I think it's a good idea
Right.
to bring everybody on board, but.
I like this first step, right? I
Right.
think we need to get some of the department heads together to say,
With our town manager.
with the town manager and say, give us some examples and then get with Jesse to get some of the fleet software installed on the cars. And start
We
getting some
can
hard data.
get a working group together. I think that their vehicle, their places right now that would easily accommodate
Right.
an electric vehicle. I had a hybrid for a number of years. And,
I could
you
see
know,
meter
Elizabeth-
readers being,
Yes, and
This
and,
could be easy.
Elizabeth, in development services and the inspectors and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that everybody else can. I'm just thinking about frankly, the most wear and tear on a police car isn't the engine, it's the front end. It's the turning. A police car turns every night, every 24 hours more than a regular car does in a month. And so you really have to look, when you're looking at a particular vehicle, it may be perfect as electric or gas, but you look at the vehicle and you see how is that front end holding up? Many times you say, God, I'd love to get that Chevy gas engine, but the front end's not holding up. And that's one of the main things that the police look for is how is it working service?
We're not
So I
talking
think,
about police vehicles.
I know, but
I'm pointing that out as an example. It's not, so what we need is a working group, to talk about this. Because if you don't sell your staff, then your morale's just going to drop. Because as you remember, one of the things that your survey showed is they believe that upper level were making decisions on equipment that they had no input in.
Right.
So I think that you really need to get the buy-in from the staff, and I think we can do that over time. As you know from our retreat, we're over $1 million in the hole before we buy anything.
Right.
I mean,
I'm thinking it's going to be 2 or 3 or
career
4
track.
years before we can buy a car.
Well, we may have to do something, but with career track and the insurance and the increases that the salary survey, and if you remember, Ian showed you a pretty dismal picture. So when we look at the over millions of dollars of equipment requests, I don't know how we're going to do that, because right now we're looking at using the fund balance for operating, which is just something you don't want to do for any reason, but we may have to.
Like
And that's why I say that
constantly
it's
improving.
not essential that we adopt something right now, because I'm not sure that we're looking at new vehicles right now.
No, I'm not looking at spending any money right now.
I was going to say, Rob, that I'm sure William would be glad to join any working group that you have.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy my electric vehicle. I don't have any problem with them, but we have to get the buy-in of folks that are going to use it for much rougher wear than Elizabeth and the inspectors and me, and make sure that everybody's on board.
Right. And I think education is a good thing. I
I
also
like
think
hard
that
facts.
this is the way we have to move also.
I-
So we need to.
It is the way of the future. I'm telling you.
There's no question.
I'm very grateful right now to have
We'll
it.
turn it to let Rob, look into the staff there. Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your hard work.
That's what I was gonna say.
All right, we'll move on here to the old business. We got a budget amendment agreement for brick sidewalks installation along Walnut Street as part of the North Carolina DOT. Miss E.T.
The legend, the myth. Well, good evening. Thank you. I'm bringing back to you the agreement and the actual cost to do the sidewalk that we discussed at the meeting previously. This is, again, something that came up in 2017 when we were holding public hearings related to the Russ Avenue project. The neighborhood that's known as the Spread Out District, which is one of our historic districts. And those residents and property owners along Walnut Street were concerned with some of the DOT changes. As a result of those meetings, that footprint for the Russ Avenue improvement has decreased, and their sidewalks proposed for both sides to be replaced. They have done the side in front of the Presbyterian Church and brought the brick sidewalk down to the extent of the historic district that the church is in. And we asked you if you would consider bringing that brick sidewalk from Main Street all the way down to Boundary Street as part of that historic district. You had suggested that we do the whole block. We have learned that that's going to be $87,242 and some change of extra cost to the town. We do have some fee in lieu of sidewalk money that we've collected along Russ Avenue that will help to offset some of that by $22,000. So what we're asking for is your permission to go ahead and direct Rob to be able to sign that agreement with DOT and to make the budget amendment required.
This is something we talked about, I think it was in our retreat or something about
We
deciding
should.
if we're going to do both sides.
Very
and we
recently,
decided-
yeah, 'cause if you need to-
Yeah.
We talked about it here,
Yeah, we talked about it here before our retreat.
and I voted against it because I think it's $65,000 we don't have, and I think the concrete sidewalks look just fine.
I have to, I know I agreed with it at the beginning, Chuck, but in lieu of our retreat, I'm very reluctant to vote for anything that takes money out of our fund
Exactly,
balance.
I agree.
I appreciate your additional work with that, but I'm,
This is-
we're
we understand.
between a rock and a hard place right now. And I
Yeah.
think we need to start penny pinching.
Okay, so there's.
Yeah.
Well,
No
yeah.
vote. on that.
well, you'll have to,
So they can make a motion, but.
if they,
What I do have
So
one,
I-
it's just to let, if no one makes a
motion.
motion,
It dies
Will
for
die.
lack of- It dies for lack of.
so if someone wants to make a motion, it'll die.
I don't think it did, but I have a question for it because I made me a note on it this time. You know, we had our welcome to Waynesville sign down
Yeah.
there at the entrance. What happens now with that since all this is going on? Is there someplace that DOT, like that corner lot at Boundary Street or something that
We could-
DOT? could
We can
put-
talk to them about putting it back at some location based on the available right of way.
Yeah,
I don't know that it can go exactly into that corner as it was before,
Yeah.
but it might be. We just have to look with them and,
yeah. I just thought, you know, I thought maybe they bought that piece of property at the corner of Boundary Street.
I don't believe
they,
so.
they didn't buy it, but they did take some of the frontage for right
You
of
have to
way.
have like 15 feet. I don't know if there's enough space there.
Yeah, we'll follow up on that one.
So could you check into that for us there and see
We
what happens about our sign? I mean,
We
is
will.
that something still that's going to come out of our pocket or is DOT responsible for putting it back?
Well, I'm not sure if they took it down or if we did.
I don't think that
And
sign was
that's-
actually out.
that's
The
the,
Welcome to Waynesville sign. at the beginning.
that's the garden club.
It was the garden.
It was the
Club.
garden
Yeah.
club. Do we know what happened to the sign?
I think it disappeared.
If you
So we
could-
might also have to buy a new sign, but
No,
we'll look
someone put
into
a
it and
better
we'll,
sign.
we'll come back to
If you could
you.
look into that.
Yes, sir, we
and
will.
let me know, I would appreciate it.
Okay.
Because I had that in my notes there.
So Elizabeth, I think you can take the lack of a motion to mean there's no approval. for it.
Understood. We'll communicate that back to DOT and they can go forward with a plain sidewalk.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We are trying to save everywhere we can. Okay, we'll move on to new business. We have Pride on Main special event permit amendment request. Dr. Gregory.
Hello. You've seen me here before. First, I just want to thank Anthony Sutton for changing the word master in that previous motion. I think it's only fair as we recognize Disability Month and also as we have the Pride organization here to not forget that language matters. It matters when we say things like retard. It matters when we say that's so gay. It matters in bathrooms when we take the gender out of a bathroom sign. And it's only important that we continue to make it matter by removing it in types of content like that reminds us of systemic racism and how far we still have to go. So thank you, Anthony. So it's nice to see you all again. We've met a few times now. Many of you may remember that my name then was Tara McIntosh. Now it is Printer, and my pronouns are they, them. How cool is it to live in a community that is supportive in identifying my gender and name? Many would have thought that that was inconceivable just a few years ago when we sat up here supporting trans rights in the bathroom. But here we are continuing to grow our support and understanding of others' gender, sexuality, etc. So we're here today as Pride on Main. We've moved from tiny breadcrumbs with all of your support, of course. If you're not familiar, we now have an office down on South Main Street with a pantry that serves the community, especially the queer community. It has food, clothes, a tech center where you can find computers to use to look up housing or jobs. It also has a shower if you're unhoused so that you can shower. Many queer persons have a tattered relationship with churches. Oftentimes, services are offered through churches. And so we wanted to provide a space where queer persons can come in and use it and it not be just attached to a church. So here we are today. We also host at that space different things like queer prom. We had an intergenerational prom this year. We had donation drives. We had winter storm prep support. We had training on how to support your neighbors when they're being targeted by ICE officials. And we're continuing to build community partnerships to create a more inclusive community. I'll put that up. So as we move forward, you can move to the next slide. But also, let's go back to that slide. That's from last year's Pride. It was so cool to see the spaces and all the kids and families. If you were at Pride last year, there are so many kids and families there. Bobby, a muralist, does a chalk center for all the families and kids. So yeah, you should stop by if you haven't. You can move to the next slide, Jesse. So Pride on Main was founded in 2024. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are run by local volunteers, over 30 plus volunteers in Haywood County. This year we are operating our third Pride Festival. You may remember we were in Frog Level the first year the hurricane happened. So we moved to Wall Street last year. It ended up being way more accessible for those with disability, shaded, and actually just a great space to highlight our back streets and the businesses in that area. We can do the next slide, Jesse. So in 2024, we hosted 40 vendors and had 2,000 attendees. 2025, we had 88 vendors and over 4,000 attendees. And in 2026, we were proposed to welcome 32 more vendors, bringing the total to 120. So why we're here today. First, we want to request a social district. We are requesting it to use the same form, the same guide as the TDA that developed this ordinance and the guide and manual to be used for many organizations that would hopefully request a social district. We spoke with Karina of the TDA and reviewed both the Chili Cook-Off and the Ice Festival. You'll see that it's a duplicate ordinance. The only revisions that are changed are the name of the festival, Pride on Main Festival, the date, the time, the extended map, and we also updated the social district staff training and operations guide with just 3 minor additions, where to purchase the cups, where the guidelines are, and also we'd like to have some rainbow cups for Pride. And so those are the only revisions that can be found in that. You can go to the next slide, Jesse. So again, the ordinance is a duplicate of the ordinance from Ice Fest and Chili Cook-Off. The guide is the approved guide that was created by the TDA. Again, the business owners must register per the guidelines that are posted in that protocol and guide with signage, cups, and stickers. The TDA and Karina has said that we could even borrow their signs for the social district, so we all don't have to keep buying signs. We spoke with the alcohol and liquor enforcement, spoke with Joseph Moore. He stated that nothing else is needed as long as the ordinance is approved. We also spoke with the ABC Commission, and they stated that no permit is needed if all businesses selling alcohol are approved via ABC permitting. And also Karina sent us the back map of all participating businesses, so we know who's participating, who's an ABC permitted business that can sell alcohol. You'll see here, we number one clarifies the social district applies to both sides of Wall Street. The social district is outlined in the green on the map in the presentation. You'll see that it covers both sides of Main Street and both sides of Wall Street. The little bump out on the right-hand side is that parking lot behind Wall Street that is across from Boujin Brewery. If you came to Pride last year, you would see that we had vendor parking in that parking lot. Due to us wanting to be accessible and also add more vendors, we are taking that parking lot and using it for actual vendor space. That means that we will not have vendor parking in that spot. So our two requests for this evening that you'll see is one, to get the social district that extends Main Street, Wall Street, and bumps out to that parking lot behind Wall and along East Street. Clarify that the social district applies to both sides of Wall Street since there'll be vendors on both sides. Grebel Nud is closed the day of the event, is providing additional vendor parking, but we also need additional vendor parking because we don't want to take up all the public parking for the community, et cetera, from the Pride Parade to the festival. So our second request, other than the social district, is not to close Wall Street from Wells down to Howe, but to mark off those side parking spaces down Wall Street to Howe so that we can have an additional 30 spaces for vendors. We like to be a little bit accessible for our vendors because we do have a lot of vendors that are have disabilities, need to go cool off, grab something from their cars. So it's just not feasible to have vendors parked for a 5-hour festival, half a mile away. So our request, and does anybody have any questions about the map? You can see it? Okay.
There are houses. This is coming from the police department. 4 houses there. What is the plan to do?
Yeah. Yeah, those spaces that are on the Wells down to Howe, those uniformed houses right there, their driveways, we won't block them. We'll leave them open. So they'll still have access to their driveways. We're not closing off Wall Street. We would just block off those parking spaces. Last year, whenever we did the security car clearance, we had pre-parked. We had blocked off 7 spaces in front of the courthouse for the security cars. So I'm thinking like the same similar concept where we put like the cones down there that say like no parking in these spaces. So just those spaces will be blocked off, but the driveways won't be blocked. No.
The road will not be closed.
No, just the parking spaces will be
The road
blocked
will not
off.
be closed. It's just blocking off parking spaces for the vendors and also leaving spaces for those houses to be able to get in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thought was is people turning off of Main Street to that Wells Way, they'll be coming around and they'll need a way to go back down.
Yeah.
So that's why I wouldn't really want to close off that area. It's okay, the parking, like you were saying.
Yeah.
The parking spots, maybe
Yeah, they're
put the
just
cones
asking
up.
about
Yeah.
reserve
Yeah.
Thank you.
parking.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
That was gonna be a-
You're not asking that walls.
No, just the
that
parking
blocked off.
spaces.
That was what was in our packet.
Yeah,
as
we
well as-
updated it since then. We thought maybe it'd be easier to just not close off the full street, but just to take those parking spaces over. Once Grebelnud agreed to give us an additional spaces down there, we said, okay, this will work. And that will take the place of the vendor parking we're taking away to add more vendors. So
The other thing is, we did not have this map in our agenda either. We thought you were using the old Ice Fest district map.
Yeah, the only addition to our map is Wall Street, both sides of Wall Street, and that bump out.
Cars parked right now.
Yeah.
And the only other thing we would need to see is an ordinance. See what Don-
The what?
The ordinance. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have it. I think we sent it over.
And you said the ordinance is exactly the same, except it includes the places that you can purchase,
Yeah.
the rainbow cups, and there was one more.
The rainbow cups, the purchase of the cups, and our name and date.
And when you say purchase of cups, what do you mean?
The social district you can only, the businesses that are selling alcohol can only use the social district cup, so it has to have the logo on it.
Right, and they can only use the cup with their logo on it also. They have to attach a
Yeah, a
sticker label
sticker.
to it.
Yep.
So you're planning to, so those cups can only be used once.
Yeah.
Unless they're taken into a place and the establishment washes the cups and then puts their own sticker on.
Yeah. We plan to use the leftover Ice Fest ones. They said that they still had some left over. The chili cook-off was buying some off of them, but based off of how much were used for the chili cook-off, obviously we like to repurpose. So we'll use some of those, but if we need additional ones, yeah, it would just be one-time use and they would disappear after that.
The way it worked in the other ones is the chili folks and the Ice Fest folks provided the cups to the alcohol beverage vendors.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
they use the cups. I mean, the simplest thing would be to sell those to the vendors. I mean,
Yeah, so what we will do, it will be the same system as that, but if they need during Pride additional cups, they just come to the Pride on Main booth and can purchase some there, the registered businesses that sell alcohol.
Okay. All right.
who is responsible for preparing the ordinance? That's what I'm asking. We don't have an ordinance.
It's already
to adopt.
prepared. It's in the slides.
I don't see one.
Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think you addressed all the concerns that the
Yeah.
board had.
And I'm fine
Except
with
for the
adopting the
ordinance.
ordinance. I just need to see one.
Exactly.
Also,
I've got these slides.
go ahead. Julia, go ahead. Julia,
The ordinance was up on the screen a moment
yeah,
ago, but I
you did.
It was.
It was?
It was.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, I didn't see
And
it.
the ordinance is exactly the duplicate of what you had previously approved with the exceptions that we just mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like that official looking document.
I can't see.
You want me to come back and look?
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's the staff training. There's another one. You had it up.
No, that's the application.
That's the
It's not the ordinance.
So in lieu of Jesse hunting frantically, I can suggest that the board can pass a motion authorizing the social district contingent upon presentation of a acceptable ordinance. And then it can just go on the consent agenda for the next meeting once Pride on Main submits the proposed ordinance language to town staff. That would, unless Jesse thinks he can put his.
You have the operations guide, you have several things on there, you have training, but the actual ordinance is.
Yeah, we have it. It's just,
Yeah, so
it was just up on the screen
Yeah.
prior. Julie, you want to pull it up?
While we're waiting, I can report, and I don't know if others were at the, well, John certainly was at the chili cook-off, but the
I
social
was.
district was very successful. I didn't really, I was amazed at the number of blue cups going up and down the street.
Really?
And the real jovial, wonderful atmosphere. It was a great day. It really was.
I was there. It was fantastic.
Okay, it was, again, the social district was another success, no trouble. Everything went well.
John, you were in that. wasn't you?
Yeah.
It was Judge.
You were.
And again, increased business for
It
folks
was
that sold
packed.
alcohol and stores where you could take your drink inside.
John had 40 chilies that day.
Wow.
Bet your wife loved that.
I will tell you, the winner was superb.
Yeah, we haven't heard
Who
of
was the
those
winner?
things yet.
Well, my team did the professional category, the restaurants, and Frog Level.
So you didn't eat 40 then?
No,
He ate 10, I think. 10.
it was close, pretty close to 15, but
Yeah.
Frog Level Brewing won.
Okay.
And they
I didn't
were,
make it down there. I had 18, but,
yeah, it was
and
outstanding.
it wasn't big bites either. Man, I threw half of it
Which
away.
which one was your favorite?
I can't remember. I couldn't remember after the first 3 or 4.
yeah.
It still tasted the same, right?
I will throw one out that I really enjoyed, Patio Bistro. So just throw
I
that
didn't
one out.
get that one. I loved, sauce was good. I tell you, Sewanee, came in kind of second place. They had really a unique, they had almost kind of like a wonton to eat it with, and it was really
The other thing was there were people there from out of town too, that are regulars at the
The
chili
one
store.
that email he sent me a share file with it.
Okay.
Just, I'm working on it. I just want you to-
Was he
You
able
want
to
to just
pull
go
it
with
up?
your
I
thing
got
and
you.
then we'll.
He's pulling it up.
Martha's,
Martha-
I've
oh, Martha,
moved
you're-
that we
yes.
passed, that we approve the social district as presented with the
Upcoming ordinance.
Well, yes, contingent upon
Contingent
submission
upon,
of an ordinance.
submission of the ordinance, which we will put on next meeting's consent agenda.
I'll second.
Got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenner.
No problem.
I would just like, I'm so proud of our community that we started as a pride festival, and now it has evolved into doing other wonderful things in our community.
Yeah. Okay. We move on to number 10 is council permission to apply for a TDA capital improvement grant for the construction of the Boyd Avenue Greenway. Alex?
Good evening, council. Jesse, if you could put up. There we go. I'll try to keep this brief for you all. I know it's been a long meeting. But this is for your permission to apply for a grant from the Haywood County Tourism Development Authority to build out the Boyd Avenue Greenway Connector. For some background on these grants, the TDA capital improvement grants are annual grants put out by the Haywood County TDA. They cover capital improvement, marketing, and funding for events. And the goal is to create, specifically for the capital improvement grant, but for event grants as well, is to create amenities that are both improving the lives of residents of the community and also attracting tourism and helping support the economy of Waynesville. And so these grants have previously been used for building out segments of the Richland Creek Greenway. And so this would continue in that trend of the use of that money. They do require a one-to-one match commitment. And I know that you all are very hesitant about committing money to these grants. So I do want to say off the bat, I'll get into the budget later, but we're not actually asking for any money for this grant, that this would be entirely either money that has already been spent by the town, donation or money from Haywood Waterways and support, and also in-kind contribution from the Public Works Department. So, and The minimum cost for specifically the capital improvement grants are $100,000, and the estimated cost of this project would be around $250,000. So it would qualify for these grants. As to the location of the greenway, it would connect to the greenway that already exists behind the Hickory Hollow apartments that you can see in the image on the bottom left there, and it would extend along Richland Creek all the way to Boyd Avenue. And we would also be paving the portion that connects to Killian Street in front of the Hickory Hollow apartments. So that photo on the left there is a photo of the existing gravel path that's really insufficient both for people who have mobility issues and also for biking or any wheeled vehicle. It's not really appropriate for. So this would work to improve that connection and then also continue the greenway down to Boyd Avenue. Here you can see a map from the 2017 Town of Waynesville Greenway Feasibility Study. This was an alignment for the greenway that was identified then, and we've slowly been working at it a little bit at a time. This would kind of finish that segment. And what this would do would be connecting downtown Hazelwood, Dutch Fisher Ballpark, and Hazelwood Park, and getting us close to being able to connect to Frog Level. All that would last from this connection to Frog Level would be Killian Street and Richland Street, and we would need to look further into how to solidify that connection, but this is a really strong step towards completing that. We've already completed the engineering on this project from Preston Gregg, so that's been completed. This is a complete shovel-ready project. This is the site plan that's part of the engineering documents that are in your packet. And this would include lowering some manholes that are on that property. I should also say that as the town, we do own this property already. We own that segment along the Richland Creek all the way to Care, and then we have an easement through the Care property to Boyd Avenue. So the land acquisition has already been completed, and that money can count towards the match for this grant, which I'll get into.
Alex, the previous slide said the owner has agreed to Greenway or something. Landowner amenable to Greenway. What is that?
Is that referring to the Care property on the corner of Boyd and Killian?
No, it's not on board. It's towards.
It's right. It's that.
Mhm.
Right above where it says Sulphur Springs Park. It says landowner amenable to.
Yes. And that's the Queen property, right? Yeah.
So this was the 2017 master plan. We
Okay.
did not control this property yet, but we've been talking to the Queen ownership. Already, the Queen family had
Okay.
already indicated.
So we own it now.
Yeah.
We own it now.
Yeah, it's an old map. I think it's the.
This is the 2017
Mhm.
Greenway feasibility.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, and this just shows, how long the town has been looking at greenways and trying to determine how best to fit them into the town for feasibility, obviously, but also usability, where they'll be most
There
impactful.
was a line item for $20,000 to acquire property. Is that?
So that money, we acquired the property for $20,000 in 2023.
I see. You've added that. Okay.
Mhm. Yep. So I can move over to how we've broken out the budget for this project. So the total budget is around $250,000, $255,000. And I've already confirmed that this budget will work with Carina Rufo, or at least like the items can count towards this. So $20,000 that we've already spent on property acquisition in 2023 can count towards the match for this grant. Haywood Waterways has committed $35,000 towards this grant. That'll include removal of the bamboo forest that's right at the end of the greenway, and it'll also include engineering support for choosing a qualified bidder. That's in the budget. As part of the engineering for this project, Preston Gregg provided us with an engineer's estimate of how much everything will cost. And so because we have that, we can utilize Public Works labor as in-kind match for the grant. Traditionally, these TDA grants don't allow in-kind matches. It requires capital matches. However, because we have the engineered estimate, Karina's view is that this is work that has to be done either way. So we'll either be paying somebody to do it or we can do it in-house. So like I said earlier, this grant budget does not require any more money committed from the town in order to fund it. And we've been asking for it's a one-to-one match for the grant. So we estimated that the budget would be around $127,500. The town of Waynesville Public Works Department will be handling things like the rough grading of the property, the demolition of some sheds that are on the property, lowering of manholes, installation of bollards, painting of crosswalks, things like that. And that totaled enough to be able to make the match for the grant. So we're just seeking council approval to apply for the grant now.
Anyone have any questions?
I'll just remind you, applying doesn't mean we have to accept it. So when we get through the budget process, we need to get them through this first step, and then we'll look if it's approved. And then when we get to the budget, at that point, that's when we'll make the hard decision. Will we match it or not? So if we get approved, so yeah, approved. Yes. It doesn't mean we have to accept the grant.
Right.
So I know everybody's nervous about the budget and money.
All right, somebody give me a motion.
I'll be glad to. I'll move to approve the staff to apply for the TDA Capital Improvement Grant for the construction of the Boyd Avenue Greenway corridor connector.
I'll second.
All right, got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay, my friend, thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thank you, council.
I'm in full support. I will have to recuse myself when it gets to the TDA status. They won't
Does
let me
anyone
vote on
want
it
to
there,
take a
but,
break or anything?
I would love just a 5-minute.
5 minutes. Let's take a 5-minute break. My mouth's so dry. I gotta have a drink of water.
Yeah, I need to get some.
We'll be back in 5 minutes.
It's very warm.
Yeah, cool. I had to put my little vest back on. So.
Yes. It's expensive.
Yeah, what are almonds? I know.
It's not a talking break.
Give him the biz.
You know them? That ain't nothing to do with know that.
I always say. Yeah, that helps.
Sure you want to do it? Sure you won't.
No.
Brian told me that they're haunted the town. Literally, both she and that crazy woman from Farmer's Orchard. That woman, what's her name?
Oh, I know you talked about it. The big tall woman.
They said, Brian said it was about. Sherry asked for 800,000. She wanted every email between the Mountaineer and Smoky Mountain News and to every member of the county staff and the county administration. It was 800,000. She wanted over like 10 years.
Oh.
So Brian gave it to him. I said that wasn't one hell of a thumb drive.
Yeah. What is your position on this?
I don't, y'all took all the water. I didn't have any water when I went to get them though.
There is a water
No,
fountain.
I mean, there was
There is a water
no,
fountain up there.
there was no water in my office. Somebody had
One
taken
time I did take one.
all the water. I had 48 bottles and they were gone. But I think the staff was just coming in and helping themselves, but I didn't have any water to get out.
Tell me, what's your,
What is that?
that's the budget amendment on DWC.
Well, they probably needed that. They've been complaining about the stage since Buffy was alive.
Oh, yeah.
It's unsafe, that it's that it's sized. I think that it'd be better for us to own it because the rent is so bad.
If,
I think that it's like 4 rentals equals.
Yeah. Sorry, I was knee deep in it all day today. Was this something you wanted to talk to me about? Oh, no, I'm sorry, the tent, the stage.
I think,
Yeah, oh, you don't get the cups? Fill them up? Yeah.
You get my happy birthday thing?
I did, thank you.
I didn't.
I haven't, yeah, I've been a little out of pocket.
Yeah.
Peyton is in really bad shape. Peyton's in, yeah, I think Peyton will be here another couple days.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, we went yesterday, and there's nothing else we can do. So that's been occupying our time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but thank you, I appreciate it. It was a good birthday. Hey, at least it's good to have a birthday.
So essentially,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
total
horrible, yeah.
we're asking the council to see
Yeah.
$12,000.
Nobody did. Evidently, he was down to like 120 pounds. About 120. Yeah, he wouldn't even let Nicole come see him at the end.
He's all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Stocking, yeah.
Yeah, that's the same.
Yeah.
I heard that, but I wasn't sure there's community.
Yeah, that's Steve, yeah.
Definitely bring back previous.
And of course, Kenny Daniels passed away. Kenny Daniels, Secret Service. Wendy Daniels grew up there on
Talking's
Eagle's
fine.
Nest.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kenny passed away.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah. Kenny was Secret Service with President Carter.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I bet Reese is out of town. I bet Kenny and Reese were about the same age, maybe right at 7. I haven't seen his obituary.
Yeah.
They were probably right at 70.
You cried at those
You know,
kids.
we've been here, so we were called out for.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't expect this to be all night.
I just adored that whole organization. We got their van.
It is.
Their van broke down in Ellis Lodge. We gave them $3,000 to get their van going. They brought a bunch of the residents down there and give the check presentation. I mean, I just boo-hoo.
I was actually the attorney for the auditor number of years.
Oh,
Just volunteer.
yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot to do. But what I did get to meet all the people was I was the attorney for HBO. And so, all the Christmas
Yeah.
parties and
Oh, yeah.
all those things.
Oh, my gosh, the Halloween parties and all that. And then
I got to be part of it.
if anybody, if you can work it out to go to their, they were having where they had their
See,
prom.
Monday was supposed to
She
be-
said the name of
Put
it.
it out for.
Tim Tebow started.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
It's their prom. It's part of his foundation, but they used to have it
He
up
has it.
at the gateway. I don't know where they're gonna have it, but man, they all dressed up and they've got their gowns on. I know at Reach, we would, any of the residents could come in and just give them whatever they wanted to wear.
League of Municipalities.
Events.
She got me the impression that.
Do I need to go put a muzzle on Anthony?
Y'all's final approval.
Is he still out there at the water fountain?
You haven't, that they have us been leading.
There he is.
Julie was mumbling your name.
My understanding.
You're out there at the
after
water fountain. I
I
said,
gave him
are you hydrated
the-
now?
what the board approved on that salary, that he was going to put it out on Monday. And the only thing,
My thing is that there are, July 1st is kind of a traditional date. January 1st and July
Yeah,
1st,
yeah.
the managers like
Yeah,
to say,
yeah.
I'd like to
It's
make a
over.
transition
Oh, it is
to
right.
a new
Okay.
budget year with a new
No, we got
calendar year.
Yeah, Sharon.
And You want the advertising
Well,
to
what
miss
they call them.
managers that are looking at applying
Right.
for cities all over the state.
What's
Yeah.
that?
And that's the reason I wanted it out as soon as possible.
I'll give him a call tomorrow again,
What's that?
there, talk to him. I've been back and forth with him just on a few things there. And John answered him actually on one, I feel I didn't have to call you, you already answered him on that salary.
Can't sleep all night.
Steve Strauss,
Oh, yeah.
so you answered him on that, and so I called the rest of the board and got their something approved on it. Then he sent me that today. I'll bring that up here later.
Okay, Mayor, if we're ready to proceed, we can get Miss Sharon up here and get her out of here. She's been
Yes,
very
she's been here.
patient.
Good.
She's been very patient.
We're ready.
We're good.
Okay. Sharon,
All right, well, I'm Sharon Agostini,
report on the unpaid
tax collector for the town of Waynesville. So I'm just here to get your approval, Mr. Mayor, Town Council. I need your approval to advertise the delinquent taxpayer list in the Mountaineer.
Okay, this is gonna be easy.
I move that we approve the yearly tax advertisements in the Mountaineer in accordance with NCGS 105-369.
Second?
I got my motion, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Sorry, sorry you had to sit there that long.
Could we put this on the consent agenda?
No, I don't.
No, I think. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
Did you find that people had difficulties because of the snafu with the county tax? Okay, good.
You mean with the address?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
I think ours is more property transfers.
And the same people.
Mail and address.
I saw the same names on here last year.
Right, and then you have your, yes.
Repeat.
All right, we move on to relocation of the previous matching funds playground placement report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So, speaking of money and budgets, what we're asking for tonight is hopeful approval to reallocate the previously approved $200,000 in part of matching funds toward a new application to replace the existing wooden playground with a modern, accessible structure. Just some background information. As you may recall, those funds were originally tied to the Helene part of Dog Park project that we ultimately had to withdraw from due to timing conflicts because we had already awarded a construction contract. So basically, we submitted our application and we thought everything was good, but we had to go ahead and move with FEMA timelines to start on the Dog Park project as we already had a contractor selected. Due to that timeline, they said, well, if you won't reimburse for your project, if you're awarded the grant, you cannot start on that project until May. So here we are in March or mid-March. And so we had to ultimately withdraw because of the timing conflict with it, which was disappointing to us. But we just couldn't wait because we already had a contractor selected. So we've had that previous approved $200,000. So we're also fortunate to have a strong partnership with the Kiwanis Club, and the timing seems to be right on this. They've committed over $76,000 with more. Eva Hanson's here, and as you heard, more details from Pat Ryan of Kiwanis. Over $76,000, we believe, and they are actively pursuing more additional funding. So we're trying to build a project budget of $450,000 to $500,000. But with the previously allocated and approved $200,000 in match funds, we can redirect that if you approve to the playground project. I understand budgets tight. It seems like with different pieces of funding, this will be a good time with Kiwanis to pursue the regular part of cycle, because ultimately this allows us to replace an aging asset with something safer, more inclusive. We've been working on the wooden playground for years, trying to secure different funding. So ultimately, this is up to you, but I think we have a motion or in front of you to approve reallocating previously approved $200,000 in part of matching funds to support submission of a new part of grant application for the replacement of an existing wooden playground. And as we try, the part of grant is very competitive. We may not get it, but if we put all of our chips in and secure additional funding, as with all grants, then we would hope to fund a $450,000 or $500,000 playground structure that would be modern and up to today's standards. The current wooden playground is, as you know, aging, and the main problem we have sometimes with it, from what I've seen, is splinters in the wood, but bees nests, things like that, and the hide and seek that you heard from Pat about. So that's currently the motion in front of you.
So if we did not get the grant, then we could reallocate the $200,000 to something else.
Yes, this is just a commitment of earmarking those funds. If we do get the grant, then we have the earmarked funds, and it's a one part of his 1-to-1.
Okay.
If all the stars align, me and Ian have done the numbers, and I've looked at it multiple times. The town could have probably around $80,000 to $84,000 just in a $400,000 project.
Okay.
So
it might even be less.
Yeah, and it could be less. And I've got emails here of our commission, and they are pursuing funding.
Okay. I move we approve reallocating previously approved $200,000 in part of matching funds to support the submission of a new part of grant application for the replacement of the existing wooden playground structure with the modern accessible playground with a proposed total project budget of approximately $500,000.
Okay. Second. Second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Okay, we move along to a budget amendment. Beth?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I am Beth Gilmore. I'm here on behalf of the Downtown Waynesville Commission to request a budget amendment for up to $12,000 to secure the purchase of a covered stage system. We received a grant for $2,000 from the Haywood Arts Council. We have $10,000 allocated for stage rentals that we could shift towards the purchase, and it would leave us about $12,000 short. The cost of this project reflects about $15,000 going toward the cost of the stage, and an additional almost $9,000 for a framed tent that would go over the stage. Obviously, you're familiar with the issues we've had in the past with weather and having to cancel concerts because the weather is bad in the afternoon, even though it clears off before the event's supposed to start. But if the musicians can't set up their equipment, then it tends to ruin the whole event. And so these are stage and tent rentals are an ongoing expense for our events. And so we thought that by purchasing a stage, we could reduce what we're spending on rentals. In the past 4 years, since 2022, when the town took over the operations of the DWC, we've spent a little over $17,000 to rent this equipment. And so you are also probably familiar, we used to own a stage way back in the day. Buffy had a stage that I think was somewhat communal. It was funded through TDA grant funding. That stage has been parked by our public works department. It was not safe anymore and structurally sound. And so at that point, we started having to look to rent stages, and those costs are going up. So our board has decided that it makes sense to look into the acquisition of a stage that we could own ourselves.
Anyone have any questions?
I think it's a great idea,
I do
something that
too. Yeah, I
we
do
could have done a long time ago. I'm wondering if there's somewhere else in your budget you might be able to pull some money from. I was looking at it today. There's $10,000 for the Miller Street Shade and Lights project. Will that be happening this year, this fiscal year?
That is a beyond hot button issue on the commission. So I would be absolutely adamantly opposed to pulling any money from that. That is something that is absolutely, the commission is we talk about that constantly and the process for securing shade. Whether or not that will happen in this fiscal year, I can't say. Although it is definitely a top priority, if not the top priority. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You are correct.
And then the Depot Street mini park enhancements, $5,000 for that. Will those be completed this year?
Yes, sir, I believe so. We have applied for the Medford grant. We're waiting to hear from that, but if that grant goes through, I believe we would, will be, I think $5,000. We intend to use that toward that project as far as it will go, but having the Medford funds would allow us to do more enhancements.
And you're taking 10,000 from special events, I think, correct? Which leaves you about 20,000 there. Is that about what's going to take for the rest of the fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay. And then my other question has to do with advertising. We've got 30,000 in the budget. You've spent 1,500 so far.
Yes,
You're going to spend
however,
another $28,500.
yes, sir. Grace has a marketing plan that she has worked out for a lot of those funds. Portions of those funds are going to pay for the 40th anniversary commemorative insert that the Smoky Mountain News is doing for us. Our board has approved it, but the project hasn't been paid for yet or started. And we've got some other promotional projects that we were hoping to use some of
That's
those
next
funds.
fiscal year, though, is it not?
It'll be I think we've moved the date of that event to September. We were looking at doing it earlier when we started the conversation with Smoky Mountain News. So I'm not sure at which point we will be writing them a check for that project. We've already started doing the work. So
So you're saying you have $28,500 to spend, and you're going to spend it this fiscal year?
I have not, yes, sir. That is
Yeah.
that is our plan. Yes.
Yes.
I'm just trying to find some way, to try not to spend, not to take from fund balance, which is what this calls for. I mean, I think it's a good idea.
It's definitely a good idea for what we've been having to pay for rental.
Also, Beth, talk about this could be used for the street dances, correct? We are now
Yes,
using-
currently we're using a flatbed trailer that belongs to Public Works for the street dances. We've also used it for the tree lighting event and a couple times for Halloween. It's not an ideal situation. It's a little bit narrow to fit the entire band on, plus the speakers and the sound equipment that they need. And so this will give them more room. Also, for what it's worth, this particular stage design is a series of panels that you configure for the size stage that you want. So we could actually get 2 stages out of the panels that we're ordering, 2 smaller stages or 1 large stage or medium-sized stage and a little platform. So we've got lots of options with this configuration that we've ordered.
As I said, I'm completely in favor of it. I think it's a great idea, and it's a cost saving. Just trying to find some money to do it.
I'll make a motion to approve a budget amendment for up to $12,000.
Okay, got a motion.
Second.
Second, Julia, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Beth, you're still up there.
Yes, sir.
To the DWC rules and procedures.
Yes, sir. Thank you. My next request just reflects the DWC's interest in being a little bit more involved in the selection process for board members. So they're asking that we revise the rules and regulations pertaining to the selection process, specifically adding language into Article 4 that would read, vacancies shall be filled on the DWC through an application process managed by the town clerk. Applications received by the town clerk will be shared with the DWC Executive Director for presentation to the DWC Board, who will recommend candidates for appointment by the Waynesville Town Council. We are also asking to revise the attendance policy under Article 4 to mirror national standards requiring board members to attend 75% of annual meetings. I think currently it states that 50% of meetings must be attended, but the state requires 75%. So we're just asking to revise that so that they are in agreement.
Chuck, you have any questions?
My question concerns the language of the appointments or the application process. It says the board members who will recommend candidates for appointment. What happens if they don't recommend candidates?
I believe the intention would be for them to recommend a number of candidates that is equal to the number of seats that are open.
But what if they don't recommend candidates?
Why wouldn't we not? Why wouldn't we do that?
In my question, we would go back into the applicant. We can add an option so that in the event that nobody is recommended from the applicant pool, we can inform the town council that none of them are recommended. And then we can go back into the applicant pool or wait for direction.
But that doesn't give us the option of appointing people. What
Right,
you're
so-
saying is the
Well,
DWC
but-
will have veto authority over the applications.
No.
That's what this read could read.
What you are saying is that you want to decide who is on the commission.
Yes,
And,
that's what we do.
but
The town council appoints the commission.
understood, but there is a process that the commission members are undergoing to determine fit. And we have a matrix that includes skill sets that we are in need of, okay? And so all we are saying is that let us handle the legwork for vetting the candidates and determining the best fit for the commission. And we will advance those names to the town council. I don't think that's unreasonable at all.
Oh, I think it's perfectly fine for you to, for any commission or committee that we have to have an input into who we select. We had folks from the Waynesville Housing Authority who helped us, who actually joined the interview. And I've been talking with Candace about, and she is talking about revising the boards and commissions policy. And I think it should be a policy that would apply to all the boards, that they would have the ability to look at the applications that have come in and to comment on those to the town board. The Downtown Waynesville Commission, of course, has you on it. So you can inform us as to who you think that you would want on your commission or not. But the wording could be construed to give you veto authority, and I don't think that's what the town council wants.
I trust the DWC to make recommendations and us take the recommendations from, you all are on the front lines of this, you know what's going on. Our merchants know what's going on, our taxpayers know what's going on. Let's take the recommendation and then we can go through the process and make the affirming who you all recommend. So I totally trust you
I'd
guys.
still like to see all the applications. though.
Thank you, Julia. And ultimately, the decision still rests with the council. Whether the council accepts the commission's recommendations or not is not changing. All we're saying is that, as Julia said, we're on the front line. We need to determine the best fit for the people that will be serving on the commission, and then we would advance those names accordingly.
Okay, so we just appointed someone to the DWC. Are there any other applicants that we haven't
There
seen?
are, and
Why weren't those presented to us?
because there was a question during the commission meeting, and unfortunately, I had an emergency and was not able to attend the meeting. And the question was, should we actually interview each applicant or not?
But that was before this policy, so I'm confused of why they proceeded to not give us those applicants before this policy was in place.
Because we didn't make a decision on whether or not to interview all of the
But that wasn't
candidates.
that's not the DWC's purview or their charter.
So
It should have come directly to the council.
Okay,
So it seems like they were operating outside of what the charter was in anticipation of what the charter will be. I'm not,
you are implying that we did something untoward.
no, I'm just, no, I'm
and-
not. I'm not.
Okay.
And I agree with Julia. I believe that it should be a process, but I think the council should be made aware of all applicants, whether they're approved or not.
I have no problem with that.
Right.
What,
Can we
what,
clean up the wording just a little bit? I
what's
mean,
your
you're talking now
suggestion?
about interviewing. Do we want these candidates to be interviewed by the entire DWC board? Is that what we're
And,
wanting?
and that is the question of the hour. My position was logistically, that would be a nightmare. It is difficult enough for us to do to coordinate two council members to interview planning board members and ZBA. And so that would have been my point to the commission were I able to attend that meeting.
And I
don't
made that
think-
point,
I wanna
but
make-
it fell on deaf
I want
ears.
to clean this up so it makes sure that you are one of the people doing the interview.
I don't believe we need to interview.
Okay.
Here's kind of the way I envision this. And of course, these discussions need to be had with the commission and have us come up with a consensus. But I think everybody knows somebody, okay? And so what we could do is collectively meet and discuss the applicants and weigh the pluses and minuses, the skills that they bring to the table compared to the ones that we need or are missing currently. And ultimately, collectively, the DWC would come to a consensus to advance a name is this is our, who we want to put in this position. And ultimately, the town council makes that final determination. Now, to answer your question as to whether or not the council is receiving all of the applications, absolutely. I'm totally good with that.
The thing is, we
not-
haven't received the applications. We had one applicant who applied 2 months ago, Scott Blair. Somebody's still sitting on that application. We had an
And-
application from another property owner 3 weeks ago, Jack West, and his application is just sitting there. Now,
It's not sitting there, Chuck. It's.
It hasn't
it's-
been presented to the council.
And it's because we have yet to determine these issues that we are talking about. This is not I mean,
You've had Scott's application for 2 months. Is that not enough time?
We were expecting some other applications, so it was my understanding we were waiting until they were all received so we could consider everyone collectively. I received another one today, the last one that I've been expecting. I think we've got a pretty good slate at this point to
Okay,
choose
well, this all
from.
started when we changed the rules so that you could get more property owners. You need 3
And
property owners on board.
it's
And
worked.
we appointed one today, Bridget Shaughnessy.
Thank you.
Somehow we got her application and we didn't get the other 2.
That
And
was,
I
if
think
I could
that's a
speak to
problem.
that from the meeting, that was because the board at that point felt very comfortable moving forward with Bridget. They felt like they needed additional time to review the
But
other
That
applications.
wasn't, you didn't have a policy that allowed you to do that at the time. It really bothers me. that
obviously.
My only concern is that we didn't get them, so let's just remedy that. Let's clean up this language.
I'm fine with, and I'd really like us to make it applicable to all the commissions and boards that we have, that they would all be a part of the process and could make recommendations. I think it's a fine, and I understand, John, exactly what you're saying about trying to get members on your board that fill certain slots or certain criteria that you're looking for. We've never done that before, so I'm just wondering why it's coming up now. What it makes me feel like is that there are people maybe that have applied that you don't want on the board.
No, sir. We, prior to this change before we requested the change from y'all to allow property owners to delegate a representative, we decided as a board that we needed to be a lot more strategic with the members that we recruited to serve on our board. And that's when the state introduced this board matrix that John is referencing that they now require. And so we've got sort of a system to identify what skills and experience we have missing from our board. And we've decided that we wanted to be a little bit more strategic about who we pursue.
Well, maybe in the future, you need to put forth those criteria to the public, to the people who are applying so you can attract the people that you want on your board.
We can certainly do
I really
that.
appreciate cleaning up from the committee to the commission, and I wholeheartedly agree with the changing of the percentage. I think getting that in line, I can't believe that it was only 1/2 before. I don't know how that got passed, but thank you for submitting that. So, Martha, what do we need to do to move forward now?
So, if the consensus of the board is that the language needs to be refined, the council can direct staff to rework the area of concern and come back at the next meeting with a revised proposal.
Is that the total consensus of the board?
Or obviously there can be a motion
I-
to approve or a motion to reject it. So.
After hearing Chuck and John, I put a lot of faith into John and the commission on doing the right thing. So
I am perfectly fine with whatever linguistic changes that the council wants to make on the rules and procedures. All I'm saying is give us a chance to vet these candidates and decide who we think is going to be the best fit, and then we will advance names to the council for acceptance or rejection. That's all I'm saying.
Someone give me a motion. We beat this to death on which way to go.
exactly. I'll make a motion to approve revisions to the DWC rules and procedures.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Second by Julia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, shall like sign.
Opposed.
Okay, ayes have
All at
it.
once, clean up some of the language. That's all.
Ayes have it.
You're an attorney, so you're allowed that.
Oh, and could I ask one other thing? Could we get those other two applications by our next meeting? The one for Scott Blair and Jack West. The ones that the clerk already has.
Yes, sir. You've got some action that's been involved.
Well, that's the only two that comply. They're the only two property owners that comply. The other folks, I think one lady put down DWC, but there's not a position open for her. They're the only two right now that comply.
We're appointed delegates by property owners.
Right.
They would also be-
Okay, well, if you have some, that's great. I'd like to see all of them. When I asked Candace the day before yesterday, this is all she had. So, yeah, you forwarded them to me. There were only two eligible candidates.
But I also think that having an application window just across the board, it's kind of a unique situation. In the past, we've kind of been reactive. we get an application, boom, it goes on consent agenda, we approve. This is a good problem to have, if we have a lot of applicants, that honestly has never happened before. And it's through the text, and I know that.
And that's why I'm asking
So
that
I
you,
think, yeah, we're kind of.
that's why I'm wanting
learning some stuff.
to continue to work on changing the procedures for
Yes,
the commissions in terms of appointing members.
Okay.
Again, I don't have a problem at all with getting recommendations and that sort of thing. I do want to, as a board, to be able to see all the applications though.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to town expense for supporting special events. Jesse?
Morning.
Gotcha. Don't threaten us with a good time.
Well, about a year ago, town council asked me to come back with special event costs, and then I got busy and I had a bunch of excuses. And then Chuck reminded me the other day that that was a request. So I've been working with the police department and the fire department and Public Works to put together some general numbers of what they cost. I did two things. One was put together all these costs, and then I kind of searched around on the internet through the state of North Carolina to look for special event permitting fees and structures. I was asked not to bring that necessarily today. But what you have before you, I will note the mountain street dances. If you look at those numbers, they're not consistent. I made a mistake. So the total of this is off a couple $100. But the gist of it's the same. We spend, of all these events, I think there's 30 some here. These are not events that we do every year. Some of these events used to be popular. Some of them have been canceled, but to get a good range of what a year could take for special events, this is it. The salaries from everybody that are involved in this, I kind of averaged at 30 because they're all overtime. Some folks make $21 an hour, 24. I can't remember. Some make upwards of 30.
It seems to me like the marathons and foot races.
Which is what I saw when I was looking throughout the state. The larger cities, metropolitan areas typically had a tiered structure, which kind of caught my eye. I don't know of a whole lot of other small towns like this that host so many marathons. It takes a ton of work on our part. Whenever we do this, me, Billy, Cody, we're in the hole for a long time. And like I said, my salary is not included in this. Neither is Cody's. And we try to shuck as much of that day work off as we can, but I don't really feel comfortable a whole lot of the times not being somewhere around.
This gives us a good basis to start looking at this. And to know what it actually cost us to put on these events.
Yep.
Some of them we'll certainly keep, we're not going to charge anybody because they're our own events.
Yeah, and whatever fee goes into place now, I will let you know, I've already received like 8 or 9 special event permit applications for this year. We couldn't retroactively charge them if you guys decided to come up
Have
with
we
a fee.
approved them yet? Or-
Yeah, I've just been putting them, I put them on consent so that we can just go ahead and start scheduling and getting our logistic meetings planned.
And that's fine. And we also have to look at whether they're for profit or nonprofit, I think, and try to figure out. Rob has suggested that we might want to look at, having those events advertised as sponsors if we are helping them. We might want to try to send people to Lake Junaluska if they want to run. We might want to try.
One of the races went out to Bethel this year.
Okay, that's good.
So-
We might want to send them to the rec park or try to reroute folks so they'd be off the public streets. The only thing I didn't see on there was the cost of providing police and other protection at the football games.
Oh, you're right.
And so if you could,
Yeah, I would equate that to a marathon, right? Or because if I remember correctly, it's about 10 to 12 officers, but you don't have any fire trucks, right? Do you? No, there's no fire trucks. It's cops.
maybe you could get us that figure. That's one.
I get you that.
that's
I was
one
told to
event-
do that and I didn't
Yeah,
put it
that's
on
one
here.
event where there is a deep pocket.
Mhm. With those, we do have the option of, and we do this a lot with NCDOT. We have what's called a special assignment contract. And what that does, it allows the police officers to operate independently so long as the
for instance, NCDOT, they pay the town the amount of money it costs per the mileage rate of the vehicle, all that's quantified. And then the police officer is allowed to use the vehicle to do work for NCDOT as an off-duty officer. And so then they get paid directly like that. That's another structure instead of doing the fees, just as an option.
Well, again, I'd like to figure out something before this fall's football games, because those games raise a lot of money.
Mhm.
And
that's my
if I'm
fault.
not
I was told to
mistaken-
put those on here
if
and
I'm
I
not
did not.
mistaken, every other town or entity in North Carolina does charge the school system for those special protections.
I can have a number for you for the football games tomorrow and send it out.
Maybe you can bring that back to another meeting then. Then we can talk about it. But we can look at it right now. There's no decision that we can make right now, but we need to kind of start thinking about charging the festivals and the events that require us to spend a lot of money.
A little bit of the playing field throughout the state. I never saw a fee that went above $300. That doesn't really help us much. But there's, like you said, nonprofits, for-profits, what's the difference and what is considered reasonable? So,
Well, even the Apple Festival, I don't think you had that on the list, or was that on the list?
yeah, it's on the list. Yeah.
It is on the
Apple Harvest.
Okay, that's Apple Harvest.
Yep.
Again, that's one where there is it's a money-making event
Mhm.
that the chamber puts on. So.
They usually used to have police academy though for most of those, like the Apple Festival.
Well, and yes, in our volunteer academy, that's fine if we're using them, but when we're paying police officers or.
We still need police officers. We still need barricades. Something like the Apple Festival is far more intense on public works and fire on the beginning, because what they've got to do, public works has to deploy all the barricades, and then fire has to run around with the single tanker truck they have now, because we don't have a licensed tanker operator in public works to operate the one that was given to them, the hand-me-down.
And fill them up with water.
And they've got what? Apple Festival, you've got some of these events have like 37 barricades and they are on a time limit. They got to get those things filled. So it's constantly back and forth. And then they get people's stuff wet.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Oh, do you want me to come back?
Yeah, we want you to come back.
No,
We
please.
miss you if you just don't wait a year.
Yes,
I'm just gonna- No, at the next meeting,
Yes, Chuck asked you to bring it back with the football stuff.
I'm going to email that to you guys tomorrow with the football stuff. So would you like me to return at the next meeting with something updated?
What's the consensus of the board? You want to maybe a month from now come up with some, have it back, maybe?
Yeah.
Do you
On the
want
next meeting.
come back with, I'm just looking for some direction, some
With a potential fee schedule.
fee structures. Perfect.
And why don't you put in there goodwill to the citizens that come to and attend these things? We've got to consider that too. It can't
Yeah.
just be a bottom line thing that, we're going to charge all these nonprofits and profits and all this, but it's a big return on our local businesses. The exposure and the people that come to attend that they recognize Waynesville as a wonderful town, they come buy homes here. So we've got, put in some goodwill in that so that we know.
Big benefit.
No,
Yeah.
there's no way we can charge for the entire cost.
I know.
No,
what I'm
that's
saying.
not.
You gotta be
Jesse,
careful.
one question I have is, just looking down that list, and are all of those annual?
So all of them at least used to be annual. What I'm looking at now, Soar Eagle 5K, they did it once or twice. Do you remember? I don't know if I haven't heard from them yet. That one might, there's one of these races that went out to Bethel. But for the most part, I'm looking at this just off the top of my head. All of these happen. Farm Fresh went out to Bethel. Everything happens every year.
Is Folk Moot International Day?
We always plan for it. Now, Folk Moot's finances are such that whether or not they do it post-COVID is kind of who's guess.
They're trying to reorganize.
They're trying.
They're not really doing it. They haven't lately. But
I mentally prepare for it in case I get the call.
I mean, I just, it seems like there's some bloat in there that may be skewing the picture a little bit.
Um,
Can you put, to give you more work, put the last time they had an event?
Yeah,
can.
that would be great.
I can do that. I will say that the total number here isn't what I was trying to educate. It was the price per event, which I think is the more important part, because no matter what the name of the event is, each one of these is similar in scope. And so that's what these cost.
Marathons and races are the ones.
I tell you, the one that jumped out to me was Treats on the Street.
That is a huge effort on all of
Yeah.
us. That's why I get so excited to put my mask on.
Yeah.
And we can't charge ourselves, so there's not much
We know who you are. You can't.
We charge the kids.
Yeah.
I don't even give them candy. They got to earn it.
Yeah.
10 push-ups.
All right, thank you both.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to authorize the staff to advertise for architect services to design the fire station two. Rob.
If you know that, ever since Congressman Edwards, gave us an allocation of $2,970,000, I've kind of sighed. And this is the reason, is that when you get a congressional authorization, it's assigned to an agency. And in this case, it's the United States Department of Agriculture. They told us in order for us to qualify for a congressional appropriation that the House and the Senate have passed and the President signed, we have to meet their guidelines. And they sent us a number of different documents for us to fill out to determine if we meet their guidelines. And one of them was that we have to have an architect. He has to provide an estimate. He has to provide an idea of the size of the building in order for us to fill out the application to see if we qualify for an appropriation we've already received. In order to do that, we're going to need to go out for an RFP and hire an architect. I estimate that architect's fee will be around $600,000. However, once USDA approves us, they will pay the architect's fees. So the risk you take is that we hire the architect does the work that USDA requires, and then USDA says, sorry, but you don't qualify for your appropriation. And so you don't get it. And what you would have to do is decide if you want to continue and pay out of the fund balance for the architect, or simply cancel the architect's contract and wait for funding in the future. But in order for us to go any further with this congressional authorization, we're going to need to hire an architect.
Rob, what I heard you say is that we don't have to have a full set of plans. We just have to have an architect tell us what the cost would be and about the size of the
That's correct.
project.
And they want to see who the architect is, and I guess they want a copy of the architect's contract. And
well, I don't know. Do they want that?
yes. So what I feel like USDA's grant process really is aimed at what we call a shovel-ready project. We had intended to get the cash, if you will, and then go out and get the architect, knowing that we had the cash to pay the architect. But we're going to have to hire an architect ahead of time. And I can arrange the RFQ so that we would get a lump sum for the architect to answer the questions in the that the Department of Agriculture wants. And if we don't get it, the contract goes away, if you will, or you can decide to continue with the process.
But you're just asking for the RFQ approval at this point. So
That's
we're not hiring
correct.
anybody. We're not
No,
spending any
no.
money.
No, in fact, Chris and I have written the RFQ and we're ready to put it out. But we'd like to get the process going so that we can start filling out the application for this money. I'm kind of worried that we'll find out there's another rule that we didn't spend it in a certain amount of time, so we lose it. So,
Well, if you could put that in the RFQ that you know what I'm saying. What you
yeah,
just said.
yeah, and that's what I.
What he said.
That's what I want you to do. And before you approve an architect, we'll do a resolution of reimbursement. And you've done this with almost everything that's grant related, so that the money you front, you've got a resolution on file that gives us the right to ask for reimbursement for money we've already spent.
And maybe we need to contact the congressman again and see, tell him that we don't have $600,000 right now to
Look at
pay for an
federal
architect.
senator. I'll make a motion to authorize the staff to draft an RFQ to engage a firm to design Fire Station 2.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay, Rob. We're moving on to manager's report. Do you have anything?
Not tonight.
Don't we have
Yes, we have one other thing.
John's?
We need to do the
John's
recycling.
trash can.
Oh, yeah, John, yeah. On the
Approval of
We got that.
$6,000 grant.
We did. So, got words, last week that we received the, grant the full grant to, place recycling cans in Hazelwood, downtown, and Fog Level. And, Rob was so kind to, put together this package that, explains what we need. And, so I would like to move that we accept the grant and authorize staff to purchase the receptacles according to the grant's guidelines. And do that have to be a second motion, or can I do them? Okay, and that we approve the conflict of interest statement.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign.
So these will be ordered after July the
Correct. Yes, that's one of the guidelines.
That should be really. Okay, but now we move to Rob. Rob, do you have anything?
No, I hadn't thought of anything since the last time you asked.
I thought you might come up with something in between. Miss Town Attorney, I have a question for you about land across the bridge at the rec center. Or you got anything going on that lawsuit?
I'll be looking to report to the board at this time.
You did what?
I do not have anything to report to the council at this stage.
Okay, but you are working on that?
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, I'm afraid all that's gonna just go under there if we don't nail these guys about what a poor job they did on their field down there. I also seen a piece of their equipment still sitting there, but it ain't worth keeping.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of metal held together by rust stands out there.
All right, if you would get back with us on that. then.
Yes, sir.
All right, and then we go on to communication from us. That was pretty much what I had. Chuck, you have anything?
You've heard plenty from me.
Heard plenty from Julia?
No, sir.
Rob? I want to make sure you're still
Thomas
alive.
Rob again.
You mean still alive?
Yeah. John?
No, sir.
Anthony?
No, sir.
Then
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, but John, Chuck, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Oh, wait a minute, before you go, I got one thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.